Hi, it's Dr. Karen Can, and I'm here to teach you about brain balancing. Now, what is this thing called brain balancing? Well, let me tell you a little bit of story of how I discovered the importance of this concept of brain balance. Over the years, I've noticed that there's about 5% of my patients who never seemed to get better. They never seemed to heal. It was like two steps forward, one step back. Their symptoms would be better. I would do acupuncture and they would definitely feel a lot better, but then they would kind of revert back to their baseline. If I didn't do acupuncture every week, then their symptoms would start coming back, and it just never seemed that they would heal as fast as the other 95% of my patients. So I was getting pretty frustrated with this, and I'm sure they were as well, especially people with chronic pain and chronic fatigue symptoms. So I discovered about a year ago in 2011 that there was this concept called, well, I'm just going to call it simply brain imbalance, but it's actually called autonomic nervous system dysregulation and lack of synchronization of the right and left sides of the brain. See, that's a pretty big mouthful. But basically what it means is that the right and left sides of the brain aren't talking to each other, so they're not synchronizing. And when that happens, and it usually happens with severe amounts of stress, then the body doesn't really heal very well. And the other issue that can happen is that the body can completely lose its ability to regulate its fight or flight response. So we have lots of people walking around with a permanent go button, and some people know who they are. They cannot seem to relax. And now I've noticed this even people who don't even think they're stressed out, but when I do muscle testing in the office, I will confirm that they do have this autonomic nervous system dysregulation. So what that means is that they just their bodies can't heal because the body heals in the relaxation state, but the nervous system's actually locked onto a flight or fight or a stress response. So they can't heal. So the cool thing is I've discovered since then that there's a nifty little tool that I can use in the office to correct this brain imbalance, and it's so simple. In the past, we had to do all sorts of fancy types of acupuncture and all sorts of, acupressure techniques and tapping and all this kind of stuff, and sometimes people would do it, sometimes they wouldn't. But I found a really simple tool that works incredibly well. And for those 5% of people who weren't getting better, finally they're getting better after using this tool on a regular basis. So how do you know if you have a brain imbalance? Well, you have a high risk of having this brain imbalance if you've been under tremendous amounts of stress, and this can be over decades. It doesn't have to be just in the last, week or two. The second thing is that you may have had a head injury or a significant fall in your life, even when you were very young, like even if you're 2 years old and banged your head and got knocked out, that could cause a brain imbalance problem for the rest of your life if it's not corrected. So the third thing that I've noticed that causes brain imbalance is cell phones. People using cell phones, cordless phones, having wireless internet in their homes. This is almost 75% of people in North America that I've interviewed have some sort of wireless radiation technology that they use or are exposed to every day. Just because you don't have a cell phone doesn't mean the two guys sitting next to you in the office aren't having their cell phones on, and you've also got a computer screen in front of you. Anyway, so there's a lot of different reasons that the nervous system could be stressed, and electromagnetic radiation is one of those reasons. The other thing that can happen is you can have a damage to your nervous system through toxins in your environment. So volatile organic chemicals like through paint, household chemicals, aspartame, MSG, or, and other artificial sweeteners and colorings and that sort of thing can damage brain cells. So that can also be a cause of brain imbalance. So what if you're not sure whether you have a brain imbalance? Well, ask yourself this: have I had problems with healing? In other words, if I have symptoms, they're not going away. very easily, no matter what you do, that's probably a brain imbalance issue. If you have chronic pain that doesn't go away, if you cannot sleep, if you feel stressed out all the time, if you're not dreaming when you're sleeping, you don't feel refreshed when you feel awake, when you feel tired all the time, and unfocused, moody, low mood, anxiety, those are all symptoms of having a brain imbalance. So the tool that I use to do the correction is this. It's the LifeWave Aeon patches. I use these on specific head acupuncture points, and I have found that it has very easily corrected the brain balance in people. And within a very short period of time, usually within between 1 to 14 days, people feel a significant difference in how they feel. So for example, if they were not sleeping well, they start sleeping well. If they're not focused, they start focusing. If they have low energy, they start having better energy. And in my case, what I've noticed is once they're brain balanced and they can stay brain balanced, they're finally able to heal, self-heal. So if I do treatment on them, it works and it continues working. As long as they stay brain balanced and continue, treating themselves with the Aeon patches, anything that I do in the office, it just accelerates the rate of that. So something that used to take, say, 20 or 25 acupuncture treatments to treat now takes probably a quarter of that many treatments. So it's pretty exciting for people, I think, and also saves them some money as well. They don't need as many treatments. So let me show you the acupuncture points that we use for this patch. So it is a single white patch from the LifeWave company. So this is the Aeon. I'm not going to take the backing off. I just have some tape back there just to show you the different acupuncture points that I use. This patch lasts 12 hours. After that, it kind of pretty much runs out of gas. You want to make sure you drink lots of water during the day when you're using the patch, especially because the patch will put you into a healing response. And if you get rid of toxins during the healing response, you want to make sure that they escape. The second thing is that the patch works best when you're well hydrated. The energy system is, much clearer. The signals are much clearer. The energy moves much better when there is enough water in the cells to communicate the signal. So the Aeon patch, you can use it day or night, can be used on several different acupuncture points that are in the brochure. But what I'm going to do is show you the specific acupuncture points that I use on the head to help with this brain balance, to help the right and left sides of the brain communicate, and to help with that stress handling system to make sure that it's regulating properly again. So the first point I'm going to show you is Governor Vessel 24.5, which is on the third eye, so right in the center of the head. Now, obviously, this point isn't very convenient if you're going to the grocery store, unless you happen to wear a headband every day. But it's a really great point, certainly for women, especially because of all the hormonal structures that are behind this point in the brain, the pituitary, the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, for example. So it's a great point to communicate to those glands to help you with hormone balancing and also for sleep, for melatonin for sleep. So this one is Governor Vessel 24.5, and it's a really great brain balancing point. The second point I want to show you is on the top of the head. This is actually Governing Vessel 20, and if you take the tips of your ears and make a line to the top of your head and kind of push around, you might find a slightly sore spot. So Governor Vessel 20 is a great point, I find, for somebody who's feeling kind of down and low energy. So this helps to bring the energy up. They usually brighten up, and I call it my bliss out point or my happy point. So I really like this for people that have low mood or low energy. And this also helps with sleep too, because it communicates pretty much directly over the pineal gland, which helps to make melatonin and helps you with sleep. Now, if you don't want to stick this to your hair because it's pretty sticky and you might lose some hair, you can definitely use it underneath the hat. You can actually tape it right to the inside of a hat. Even if the hat is, an inch away, it'll still have the positive effect on that acupuncture point. The other thing you can do is use a headband like I have today. This is a buff. So you can actually put that right underneath the buff. You can tape it right on the inside as well, so it doesn't move around or shift for you, and that'll be great. I have used even this point on behind the bottom of my neck back here when I have a headband on. If I have some pain back there, that also is a brain balancing point. That's called Governor Vessel 16. So those are some of the brain balancing points that you can use with a headband or a hat. Now, the other point I wanted to tell you about is Triple Burner 17 because it's easy to hide during the day. It's also really great for stress. And the other thing is that it does communicate with the brain stem, which helps with respiration. So if somebody is having difficulty with respiration, especially when they're sleeping at night, this may be helpful for those symptoms. So let me show you this point. It is Triple Burner 17. It's behind the right ear. Okay, right ear. Aeon is used on the right side of the body or midline. So right here. So kind of like right behind the earlobe on the bone there, the mastoid bone. And as you can see, you can't really see it if you have longish hair. So that's a really, really great point for brain balancing. Now, the last point I'm going to show you is actually not a head patching point, but also helps with brain balancing, and it's the thymus. The thymus is in the upper chest. So it's in the center of the chest, right in the middle there. So right on the breastbone. And even though this doesn't have the benefits of connecting with the different parts of the brain, this does help with brain balancing. And for some people, they tolerate this point better, or it's easier to hide. So what I suggest is you try all of the points and see what works best for you. Again, you can use it either day or night. I think that if you have a lot of stress during the day, or especially if you're surrounded by a lot of equipment that have electromagnetic radiation, you may very well want to use the Aeon during the day. Is it harmful to use it both day and night, to use an Aeon during the day and an Aeon during the night? No, absolutely not. I think that would be ideal, but you know, maybe difficult to follow. You'll use a heck of a lot more patches. So definitely for people to try the head patching, I recommend using it every day for at least 2 weeks, preferably a month. And then you should feel a pretty dramatic difference by that point. And then if you have a chronic condition that you are healing, I highly recommend you continue brain patching or head patching at least every other day, and especially if you notice symptoms cropping up. So I tell my patients, if their symptoms, old symptoms, start cropping up again, that usually means they're not brain balanced. So if suddenly they can't sleep, or suddenly they're losing focus, or suddenly their pain gets worse, first thing I have them do is pat your head. Pat your head first, and then, you know, we'll deal with the other symptom later. So if they've got, say, hip pain, I'll say pat your head. It's kind of funny, and I'll often have them patch their hip as well, and that's another video. But it's a great way of healing chronic things that don't go away, and the head patching has made a huge difference in my life and the lives of my patients. So I hope you do try it and do it on a regular basis, and please feel free to connect with me and let me know what your results are. So a couple websites you can visit me at. One is KarenCan.com, and the other one is specifically for patches. It's acupuncturepatches.com. So www.acupuncturepatches.com, and you can connect with me there. And I really hope to hear some of the wonderful results you get from this protocol. Thanks so much.